It's all like 60 days out and it all sells out. Like we got tickets to go up the Washington Monument and
Uh-huh.
it sold out in like 12 minutes and I was able to get some, but then like there was stuff that sold out that I changed the time and just got like day of tickets and they
Oh, nice.
basically it was like, oh yeah, like or I just walked into places that were seemingly sold out. So
Gotcha.
um
I guess
yeah.
for some of the stuff in Japan, they do that, but it's so well known that like there's people lined up at the
Yeah.
place when they open. So it's like, oh, let's see if anybody canceled or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean I can't imagine like yeah, what Japan is probably Tokyo is probably like way more popular than Washington, D.C. as
I'd
far
imagine
as
so, yeah. I mean, there's like
yeah.
40 something million people that just live in Tokyo area.
Right.
So
They're not like, let's go see the sweet stacked up limestone.
yeah.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
It's good, man. Living life. It's like a nice little warm spell we're having in my neck of the woods. So I'm just here just swatting flies, people trying to send me like Woody marks for early second round picks and stuff.
Yeah.
So just gotta bet them flies away, no big deal. How about you, Christian? How are you doing?
Hey, man, somebody will take it.
Yeah. Got
Um,
him.
I'm good, man. It warmed up here too. It was like 70 yesterday. We went on a nice little walk around Indianapolis. That was fun. But what I'm most excited about is being back in the rookie profile game.
Yeah.
So like last week, you heard it here. We are in the rookie profile time. So we're gonna just keep chugging along with these pre-tournament profiles, and then come around March time, we're going to be hitting the tournament really hard. So, I mean, without further ado, you want to hit us with your first profile this week?
Yeah. You got it. I will hit you with a wide receiver
Okay.
that I am kind of infatuated with. I'm getting like confusion from everything. It's Zachariah Branch from Georgia.
Zachariah.
Yeah, he was a big time stud in the slot receiving game. And he profiles just like a slot receiver. He's 5'10, 180, and just a super feisty guy. Watching his tape, I liked his style. He had this like jump catch style, which was interesting because spoiler alert, I did a guy that's a wide receiver that's 6'5", and then a guy
Mm.
that's 5'10". So watching the different styles was there's a lot of contrast, but it was interesting because of the smaller frame. You would think he would reach for the ball, but like instead he was jumping and like timing jumps for body catches. And typically, I don't like to see a lot of body catches,
Yeah.
especially as like a default catch style. But for him, the way he kind of like hopped and caught the ball, he landed and just like hit the ground running. And the transition from leaping catch to running with the ball was seamless. It was
Mm.
very impressive, and he has a ton of like swiftness and open
Yeah.
field wiggle. It's like it jumps off the screen, and so I'm looking at everything, and I check the stats, and he had 811 total yards this past year, and 634 of them were after the catch. So we're talking
Mm.
like 78% of his yardage was after the catching the ball, and like the route execution is smooth, the footwork is smooth, the open field movement is absurd. He generated 20 missed tackles forced, and everything he does is just electric.
Yeah.
And so I go looking deeper in the stats, and I was surprised to see like he had a defined role in usage in that most of his catches were either behind the line of scrimmage or within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage. It's 67 out of 80 catches were that way.
Mm.
And 72 of 93 targets were within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage. So he's got that like underneath slot kind of catch and run. Just that profile down, and he executes really well. So I'm excited about seeing where he ends up. He seems like one of those guys that's just going to be a playmaker, just get a lot of targets and turn them into effective yardage. PFF has him as the number 11 wide receiver and 77 on the big board. So yeah, normally I hate seeing like I'm seeing this reoccurring slot guy popping off the screen, and you never know how slot guys are going to translate. But I think that he is so dominant and so effective and crisp in his execution that I think he's going to probably parlay that into a nice little NFL slot career.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, you can see it as you watch him. His uh, quickness and shiftiness pops off the screen, like you're saying. Like he just is one of those guys, catches it and immediately turns around and just starts looking for ways to make guys miss. Yeah, he with his size, he's definitely going to be limited to a slot role in the NFL, but that's not necessarily a career killer or anything, especially fantasy wise. Just depends on where he goes. Um, and if that team is going to be effective at using him. So yeah, he's an intriguing guy, man. Like, definitely. I mean, you said he was top 10 or he was 11th
He's
for
number 11,
PFF.
yeah, but still in the
So
top 100. So
I mean, yeah, top 100 player for PFF. That's going to be really really fun to watch. See where he goes. And I like yards after the catch guys. He definitely looks like a guy that I'll fall in love with during this process for sure.
bring it on.
Um, I'll echo that. I'll talk about a guy who's a little bit taller, and a tiny bit heavier at Skyler Bell, wide receiver out of Connecticut, listed at 6 foot 185. He's on the PFF big board at number 80, so very close to your boy Zachariah Branch there. And you want to talk about yak? Skyler Bell had 101 catches for 1,278 yards and 13 touchdowns. 835 of those yards were after the catch.
Yeah.
So absolute monster in that area as well. He had 860 in his first year from transferring from Wisconsin to Connecticut, and he was third in yards per route run for this class as well. And again, you want to talk about quick and shifty guys. These guys kind of paralleling each other just a little bit. Very, very quick and shifty. He creates a lot after the catch. He had a long touchdown against Boston College that was like on a short catch that he then just kind of bounced away from the defenders and just scooted up the sideline. I think his route running is really smooth and he's really explosive. His acceleration is kind of like what makes it go. Like he just can cut on a dime and then just take off. It seems like I'm really excited to see his 40 time. I'll be shocked if it's higher than 4.4. I just like you can just see that speed show up on the screen, and you combine that with his quick movement and his route running. It's something to watch, man. He's really fun. Obviously, he's on the smaller side, but it doesn't really show up in his contested catch percentage. 65% contested catch rate this past season, and he's right at 50% for his entire career, 27 of 54 of those. He had a really nasty sideline catch against Syracuse where he went out, cut back, and the dude was just all over him, and he just managed to like get the ball. Like it wasn't a jumping contested catch, but the guy was like hanging on his right side, and he still just was able to catch the ball with his arms and keep it in bounds. I do think he can get knocked around a bit. That's probably going to get worse in the NFL, doubly so because he's playing for Connecticut, which means his competition level was already on the lower end. Rice, Air Force, Buffalo, anybody?
Nah,
Anybody at all? Yeah,
heard of some of
Independence.
those.
Independents are silly, which Connecticut is. Sit down, Notre Dame. Stop whining until you get out of the Independence division. Um, but that again, it doesn't take away from like his willingness and his physicality. It just he can get pushed around. He's just too small, and at the next level, that's probably going to be a an issue for him. I think he's a really willing blocker and intense. Like he's scrappy. He really goes after his blocks and tries to force people around, obviously with varying success depending on who he's going up against. But his biggest issue by far are the drops, man. Holy God, the drops. 24 drops in 4 years with significant playing time. That's 10% drop rate. And they're bad too. Sometimes you'll be watching it and it's just like one of those wide open hitting the hands drops. There's definitely a lot to like about Skyler Bell. Like I said, the fluid routes, the speed, the quickness, the yak. But there are some massive red flags you're gonna have to worry about at the next level. Obviously, like I said, the drops and then the ability to be pushed around. But there's enough here that I'm super intrigued to see like what happens with him. I honestly really liked his tape. I had a lot of fun watching Skyler Bell. So I'm intrigued to see where he ends up. But he'll be one of those landing spot guys. If it's a team that I think can take advantage of his upside and his positive traits, then I'm gonna be probably all in on him. But if it's a team that is just kind of drafting a guy to be explosive because he's explosive, but I don't believe can get him in the right scheme or the right area he needs to be, I may be less so.
Yeah, I feel you. He definitely has a big production profile. It's always hard to judge, with the small school. He looks
Yeah.
like a big kid on the playground,
Uh-huh.
just kind of bullying guys. But just comparing him to Branch, he had several more scoring plays.
Hmm.
Branch only had six. But another thing that stands out is there's a lot more outside play for Bell,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
necessarily stuck in the slot. So I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. Obviously with that height, he probably is going to transition more to a slot type
Hmm.
usage. But the versatility to play some of those deeper routes, he was definitely doesn't look like he's very challenged on the field. So hopefully he can keep some of that energy going to the next level and prove that smaller schools, independent schools can still represent at the next level. It's not just these big Georgia bulldog type guys making
Yeah,
it successful.
for sure. And that's what I mean about what scheme he ends up in. If somebody can take advantage of that versatility, it isn't just going to throw him in the slot and say be quick and explosive and make people miss, then I'm going to be excited. But yeah, there's a lot to like.
Right on. I'm gonna go into my running back. I'm going with Desmond Reed. He's
Desmond
out of
Reed.
Yeah, he's out of Pitt. And he is insane. There's a lot you can say about him, so we'll just start at the beginning. It's kind of a lesser year as far as the stats go. This past
Mm,
year, it was
hmm.
200 and about 280 rushing yards this past year, which is a big step down from the nearly 1,000 he had in 2024.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was due to injuries. I don't know why I'm starting with the sad news, but he missed a lot of time with some ankle injuries, and prior to joining Pitt, he was at Western Carolina, where he also missed a few long stretches of time. So I'm seeing an injury history, which sometimes is okay. But when you're talking about a guy who's 5'8", 175, playing running back, it really gives you a little bit of pause in the excitement category.
Hmm.
Um, but then you look at the positives, and for me, he is one of the best like catch and run out of the backfield running backs that I've seen in like the college game. He just has insane level of success in that department, and including games after he came back from injury. So after missing several weeks in the first half of the season. He came back in week 6 against Florida State, pretty good competition level, and he had an 8-catch, 155-yard receiving outing
Mm.
with 2 touchdowns. So it's kind of wild because he only had 45 yards on the ground on 12 carries. So his carry averages were suffering after the injury. Before the injury, though, he was getting around 5, upwards of 8, depending on the game. but it kind of just morphed the way I looked at his film, and all I could see were the catch and run passes, and it's just insane. There's no way that someone isn't going to get this guy in and just make him like a specialized third down back, and getting like heavy rotation in some of these running back passing plays because he was kind of a big play machine,
Hmm.
especially in the receiving game. But then he kept, he does have a nice approach. He is a running back. And the things I liked about him as a runner is he kept his hips square and he stays light on his feet. He's really swift and he knows how to like bounce outside. And once he gets an edge, he's got undeniable speed. He still uses power up the middle. I don't think it's necessarily where he'll shine at the next level, but he does have that in his game. But the way he maneuvered in the open field, especially as a receiver, it just blew my mind. So I
Hmm.
was pretty excited just to get into him. I was surprised to see that PFF had him as the running back 13. That sounds like a nice number, but if you look at the total big board ranking, it's 194. So
Hmm.
it's not necessarily the highest number in the world. Um, but I want to see what he does at the combine because a 40 time like that has got it's got to be sub 4.4 like you're saying. So I'm excited to see if he can put down some solid numbers. But judging off of what I saw on tape, I don't think there's a world where we don't hear about this guy's name a couple times coming out through just the receiving work that he's capable of. So that's where I'm at with him. I don't know if you got a chance to look at any of his body of work, but it's kind of hard to judge with the injury this past year.
Yeah.
But it's feisty as hell, so it got me
Yeah.
pretty excited.
I mean, I'm watching a little bit right now. He is definitely explosive. And yeah, like most of the highlights are him catching the ball, which is,
Yeah,
like you're saying, somebody could definitely take advantage of that. I obviously you got to worry about the height and the weight, and then his injury is already a thing. So it's going to need to be a team with a great offensive mind that can get him into the gadgety type roles, and be consistent. And I know whenever you talk about a 5'8" running back, people want to immediately talk about Darren Sproles.
yeah.
But even Darren Sproles was 190 pounds. So you're
Mhm.
talking, if Reid can maybe put on a little bit of weight and still keep his play style, and I definitely think he could be useful. And hey, if you're in a PPR league, I mean, this is a guy that will likely probably not be drafted in a rookie draft. I mean, obviously it depends on where he goes, but 194 in the big board for PFF usually would not end up in a 3 round rookie draft. So it's somebody that you can decide, look at the depth chart for whatever team he lands on, see if he's going to be catching some of those passes out the backfield. But yeah, I mean, he has elite receiving talent. So if you give him a chance, he may just be able to scoop in a bunch of balls for you and scoot you through some weeks on
And you
on
didn't
your.
even say Tariq Cohen.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Oh goodness.
I know it.
All right. Well, let's go from one end of the running back size pool to another. Kaytron Allen, running back out of Penn State. 5'11", 220, PFF big board 135. So not that much farther in front of Mr. Reid there. I mean, like 60 something spots, but still, this past year, 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns on a 6.2 clip.
Wow.
181 missed tackles forced in 4 years at Penn State. 50,
Jesus.
57 this past year, which was fifth for the running back class of 2026. To me, he's just a model of consistency. Like his lowest career yardage was his freshman year at 864, and touchdowns was 6 touchdowns in a sophomore year. About one fumble per year, never less than 5 yards a carry. Like he just is a guy that you're going to be able to depend on to run the rock. Um, I'll get into some negatives later, but yeah, I mean, in a running back backfield, potentially a committee, at least for his rookie year, potentially. I think he's just going to be a guy that whatever team grabs him is going to be able to rely on. Um, he ended this year massively, 181 yards against Michigan State, 160 yards against Nebraska, and then 226 yards against Rutgers to end the year in his final three games. And you can see why. He's got really good vision. His cut execution is on point. He's a one cut back, but he has the patience and the vision to really make that work. Where you just, he's one of those guys, he waits on the hole to open up and then bang, just smashes into it. Contact balance is probably, in my opinion, his best trait. He rarely goes down with arm tackles. He's a bigger guy. He's thicker around the bottom, so you really have to get after his legs to be able to take him down. So arm tackles are not going to do it. He pushes through contact as well. Very rarely are you going to see him get pushed backwards. And he's got really good bursts. Like I said, that one cut running style really suits him. Just one step. The cuts are dynamic as well. They're aggressive. He leaves people on the ground a lot. It's fun to watch. But he's just that bang cut and then up through the hole. Now the top end speed is definitely lacking. He's not going to be hitting any home run balls, which I do think, especially not. I mean, he didn't do it a lot in college, and I don't think he's going to do it much at the NFL level when the competition rises to for that type of stuff. But with the burst, he still makes up for it. He had big runs a lot. It just he ended up getting taken down from behind all the time. Um, I don't think he has the most creative running style, like on the flip of the aggressive one cut style. It's fine, it just limits his game changing ability. Like if he can't cut you out of your shoes and take off and run through you, then he's not gonna be hitting spin moves. I didn't see him do any, hurdles. He's not gonna be doing much of that. So it's like he's really good at his move set. But once you get outside of that, it's just maybe he could develop some more tricks. But for right now, he's um, not a little limited in terms of that kind of stuff. He's not much of a factor in the receiving game either, kind of the flip of Desmond Reid. He's never had over 200 yards receiving in a season. He looks fine when he catches the ball, but it just doesn't happen very often. So maybe that's a thing where they had Nicholas Singleton and didn't really need to use Kaytron Allen out of the backfield. Who knows? But just not a lot there, so it's hard to get excited. Especially you want a dual threat back in today's NFL. I do think he's worth a second rounder at least in rookie drafts. I think potentially he could be pushed up the board just due to like a top heavy running back class that maybe doesn't have the depth to really carry a bunch of guys. So once a few of these RBs go, like maybe people scramble and try to grab them earlier. Um, but I'm super intrigued with Allen. I think he could have a great couple of seasons in the right landing spot. One of the guys he was compared to is Damian Pierce, which would make a lot of sense to me. A guy who comes into a weak backfield and then kind of takes over that starting role just due to his ability to play the position. Like he's just one of those running back guru type of guys that maybe doesn't have the high end traits to make him a superstar at the NFL level, but has all the traits you need to be a consistent workhorse. So that could be an interesting thing. Similar to like a Tyler Algier, not necessarily in play style, but like when he popped on the scene and just was able to crush it. So grabbing him, especially in a weak running back room, I think early on, there's a chance that he's going to be in a committee just because he kind of profiles as a goal line short yardage back at the next level. So that could be a little scary, especially because he's 23 already. So
Yeah.
if you have to wait on him to kind of break out and be his own guy, that might be a little worrisome. But even in that role, I think he can be useful, especially in deeper dynasty leagues. Um, I'm really just worried about upside and longevity for him. Like those are the two, like as far as playing the position at the next level, I think he's solid and I would be happy if he was in the Packers running back room, for instance, or just wherever he ends up, they're going to have like a great, at least number two guy, if not a workhorse number one for a couple years. And I know Danny's a big Penn State guy and he loves this guy, and it makes sense because two of the other guys he was compared to are Sean Tucker and Trey Benson.
Mm.
So I know Danny loves that. So shout out to you. Let's see if you can end up with him in the for the belt draft. But yeah, Allen's really intriguing to me. Some depending on the situation, he's a guy I'll likely go after.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he's definitely a powerful guy, lumbering, kind of buffalo style, just plowing. I think it's interesting. I like how he finds a way to kind of get outside and makes good adjustments, like you're saying, the one cut and
Yeah.
go. But to have that much success, I mean, especially in this kind of class, like you're saying, he's got to have one of the better production profiles coming
Yeah.
off.
Hmm.
So 1,315, that's pretty solid. So yeah, turning some heads. We'll see if he can, get the hype train. It's all about getting that
Yeah.
hype behind you these days,
Well,
especially going in the combine.
yeah, for sure. It's also just crazy that like everywhere still has Singleton ranked above him no matter what, which I
Oh
think I
wow.
would too for the most part, but it's like it's almost he's being disrespected for taking over that role and how well he did with it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no, I think that there's probably a bit of a disconnect there. So maybe it's a name value thing, but I
Yeah,
think it's probably he's on the come up. So I don't know. You got to
that's
get in front
fair.
of Christian if you're trying to put him on your squad. And Danny, he's this guy's on notice. He's a high profile guy apparently. So I'm in for it. I'm gonna go away from the running back position and into the tight end
All right, all
position.
right.
Yeah, so I had Sam Rouse. He's from Stanford.
Stanford.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. I kind of was looking for some film on him, and it wasn't the easiest thing to come across, but I did find some pretty cool interviews from Sam. He's a computer programming major at Stanford, so
Okay.
he's a sharp guy. He did graduate, already, so college graduate, sharp dude,
Hell yeah.
coming out
Good
of
for him.
Stanford. So you got to be proud of yourself a little bit there, and I would be too. So I was a little shocked to see him at tight end 7. After watching the film, I thought he was a really good tight end. Honestly, I thought he worked really well in line. And he had this like weird delay to his game where I don't know if he was blocking or if it was just like a deception technique, but he would always like hold an invisible block for, a count and a half
Hmm.
before breaking off. And it kind of put him in a position to really have some stealthy, crisp, like underneath routes. And it was extremely successful. But he also had a good way of playing on the outside. And he used his length. He's 6'5", 260, so that's a good size for a tight end. They're getting skinnier these days, so
Hmm.
260 is a number that made me happy. But he just kind of had a good total package as far as like using his size, but also being fast. Like he had a really good after the catch speed. But then he had, physicality with the ball in his hands, and the blocking was pretty decent. It wasn't like out of this world, but for a guy I would call primarily like a receiving threat as a tight end, I think he did do pretty well, just being like a physical guy. So I got pretty excited. He had 65% inline snaps, so he does like have the dual functionality of a inline tight end and
Hmm.
not necessarily like a slot hybrid like some of these guys we've been seeing. But then I dug in a little more to his stats, and all that excitement from watching him play kind of fell off as I saw he had 12.5% drop rate.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, 7 drops. He only had 4 contested catches, and his catch rate in general this past year was only 61%. So there's a couple of things that kind of worked against kind of the eye test.
Hmm.
But I do think that he does have a good presence, and his approach to the game seemed to be pretty cerebral. So makes sense for a Stanford grad to be putting the knowledge to work. But yeah, like I said, his PFF's got him at number 7 right now. And he's 106 on the big board. But yeah, the production this past year was 545 yards on 49 catches. He
Pretty good.
only had 2 scores, and it kind of mirrors the 24 season, 40 catches for 330 with 2 scores. So all told, 4 years, 1,200 yards and four scores isn't like popping off the screen, but I do think like fundamentally, he has some things to bring to the next level. He might get a chance.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that jumps to me, you kind of mentioned it, was the size, 6'5", 260. A lot of these guys are in the 240 range, and he definitely has some speed for that size. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it seems like every year they're starting to use these tight ends more. And a guy that can do both is always going to be let both be in line and blocking, and a receiving threat is always going to be valuable at the next level. The drop rate is concerning, as is, just like the not high end production. I mean, 545 yards is not bad for a college tight end, to be honest. So, definitely a guy worth keeping an eye on. Um, I will go to my tight end as well. I got Max Klare from Ohio State, transferred from Purdue last year, where he had 684 yards and four touchdowns. This year goes to Ohio State, 43 catches, 448 yards, and only two touchdowns. Still a decent little year though, with all the weapons that Ohio State team has. He's listed at 6'5", 243, so another guy we're talking about being a little smaller, but he is on the PFF big board at 72. So you got a top 100 player according to PFF here. He's their tight end three, the tight end two on NFL Draft Buzz, if you care
Oh my
about them.
goodness.
So pretty crazy. Uh, he only had one game over 65 yards this year. But there's a lot to like, man. I kind of went into this thinking I wouldn't end up liking him. I did the opposite of you. I kind of looked at the stats and looked at some of that side of it to see what I should kind of be looking for. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't love this production profile. There's a game where he had one catch for 6 yards, one catch for
Hmm.
7 yards. Like a lot of that. Only one game above 100. Only one game above 65, actually, like I said. And that was that 100-yard game against Rutgers. But when I started watching the tape, I actually really liked it. I think he's really good at avoiding contact and getting tied up over the middle of the field. And I don't mean necessarily like when he has the ball in his hands, but when he's running routes, he's very good at like avoiding everyone else and being able to use that to his advantage. I think he's got great body control in that way. Like he's able to just kind of take one step and slip around, but not really lose any speed, not really affect his route at all. And he can kind of slip around traffic. And Ohio State used that a lot in the records game, his biggest game. Most of his big plays were off these like designed pick plays where the receiver was running and kind of taking the guard away from him, which, that is what it is. It's not like a great assessment of his route running ability, but his ability to not get tied up in that and take advantage of it was huge. I mean, he blew him apart for 105 yards and a score. I think he's really good at finding the holes in the zone and kind of slipping through and making it an easy target for his quarterback. Again, even if a lot of it was like he wasn't even getting these targets that I'm talking about, but he seemed open a lot, or at least like as a check down type open. And he's faster than I expected him to be. If the 243 pounds holds up, that does make sense. But he's quick, man. He can really take off when he has the ball in his hands. And as in terms of blocking, he had two really, really high graded PFF years. That was this past year and his freshman year. And then the two middle Purdue years were a bit weaker. He didn't do much in his freshman year, though, so that grade's a little skewed. But that makes some sense to me because when you watch him, he can like erase people from the play. Uh, and then other times it seems like he's like going head hunting and running up the hole that he's supposed to find, and then he just kind of whiffs and somebody runs past him, or he just ends up not finding anybody to hit, and then people go around where he's at and tackle the ball carrier. But it seems to me less of like he's a bad blocker and more of a just he needs time to kind of perfect his craft. Like I don't think it's like a big issue for him because when he gets his hands on people, they don't really go anywhere. I didn't see him like necessarily pancake many people. He's not knocking them on their asses ever. But if he sticks you, then you're there. and he's good at working within that scheme as well. He did have 7 drops on 154 targets in his career. That's 7%. Not crazy, but still not like great. You don't want to see that, especially for a guy that will primarily profile with his size as a more of a receiving threat. But when you look at like uh, reports on him and scouting reports on him, a lot of the issues they mention are all blocking.
Oh, really?
There's not much that people are complaining about when it comes to his receiving game. And I agree that it's like an area he needs to work on, but I don't think it's that glaring. So obviously I'd like to see him bulk up a bit. Like if he could get into the 250 range and not really lose that speed, which, obviously is a big ask. But I think if he could do that, then I think he really has a really nice role at the next level.
Yeah, no. It seems like this tight end class is not as exciting as some in the previous years, so
Mm,
he might just get an opportunity to slip through and someone take a shot on him because it seems like really well-rounded and like you're saying, the consistency is there,
yeah.
and it's obvious on the field. So I don't know. I'm going to keep an eye on him. These Ohio State pass catchers have a history of success.
Yeah.
We'll just see if they can make it. I'm trying to think of like a nice Ohio State tight end.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know the receivers get there, but
Is that, yeah.
let's see. Ohio State's tight ends in the NFL. Let's see.
What's it got? It's Kate Stover or whatever.
Oh yeah, Cade Stover.
It's a,
Yeah, I don't
drawing
know.
a blank. Well, this is one to keep an eye on. Maybe he can make it happen, make it stick.
Luke Farrell
Luke Farrell.
and
There you
Jeremy
go.
Rucker. There we go.
Jeremy Rucker, that's a for sure. These are all familiar names. So, um, well, I don't know if we're going to stick with the school in comparing them to previous players of that position from that school, but we got another Tennessee wide receiver, guys.
Hell.
Reserve excitement historically, because these Tennessee guys are really good at college football, but then struggling to make the leap. And from what I've seen,
I
Cedric
believe,
Tillman's doing his best.
yeah, I believe there was another tall, fast Tennessee receiver that you fell in love with last year,
Yeah,
right?
Dante Thornton. I got his stats right here, man. This is all part of the spell, I think. And then I was really into Jalen Hyatt,
Hmm.
who was a tall wide receiver, but not 6'5", dude. So I'm
Yeah,
talking about Chris Brazzell. The,
Brazzell.
what hell of a name,
That's a good
Brazzell.
name. Yeah.
The second, it was a good
Mhm.
enough name to use it again. But dude, this guy is 6'5", 200 pounds,
Mm.
and it's like every bit of 6'5" when you're watching him,
Yeah.
because he is crazy in his like he just attacks the ball out of the air. I was talking about Branch and his body catches and the leap, and that worked. It worked really well for him. But Brazel's not doing that. He is plucking balls out of the air. He's using his length. He's attacking the ball at the catch point, and it's really pretty impressive. He had a lot of success doing it. I will say he didn't necessarily catch the ball in stride, but he focused on securing a catch in
Mm.
a way that made me very happy, because he still managed to have plenty of success this past year. He had just over 1,000 yards and 9 scores. It was pretty impressive. I will say the scoring was lopsided. 7 of the 9 scores came in the first 5 games of
Mm.
the season. But it cannot be discounted because one of those games was against Georgia, when he put up a career high 177 yards and 3 touchdowns in week
Damn.
3. And that game was like a masterclass. He was just popping off the screen, doing whatever he wanted. And really just, like I said, pulling in the ball at that catch point. But yeah, I think that the scoring plays for him were extremely impressive. He had 3 touchdowns over 50 yards, and 28% of his total yardage on the year came from scoring plays, which is kind of incredible. So that just kind of shows you the ability he has as a like a deep ball catcher.
Hmm.
Um, but then I went into, the film and I saw the versatility was really impressive. And I looked at the target numbers by depth, and he had 23 targets over 20 yards, 30 targets between 10 and 19 yards, and then 23 targets between 0 and 9 yards, as well as,
Okay.
and so he had varied usage, throughout the depth of target, which I thought was pretty impressive. The thing that I found to be the most impressive is of the short yardage 0 to 9 yard targets, he caught 22 out of 23 of them. So he's just really solid on the short game, but then also, like we're saying, with those long touchdowns, he was able to be over the top as well. So I thought the way he released off the line of scrimmage just kind of set him up for success, and the way he attacked the ball at the catch point just put it over the top. So this is a player that I'm kind of heating up on, and I hate to do it because you're right. Dante Thornton just came out. He was 6'5", 205, out of Tennessee. He didn't have the production that Brazzell has, but I still like hesitate every time
Hmm.
on these Josh Palmers and Cedric Tillmans and Velus Joneses, these Tennessee wide receivers. But this guy is, I think, kind of underrated right now. He's
Yeah.
14th in the wide receiver rankings as a PFF big board, and he's number 90 overall. I think he's going to come out with some athleticism at the combine and really just like an effective versatility that is obvious from watching his film. So I'm looking for him to jump on the screen and put up some good numbers in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, speaking on the Tennessee wide receivers, I would be surprised if any of them were ranked higher than 90 of the guys you're looking at. And he does seem more well-rounded, just on initial watching, than some of the guys that you're looking at. So yeah, I think that there's a reason to be excited about this guy. Obviously PFF, sure, he's 14th wide receiver, but he's in the top 100 players. So I don't know if they're just skewing wide receivers or so far us digging in and how the tournament is at least seeding, it does seem like there's a fairly deep wide receiver class. Maybe not like the crazy superstars of other classes, but there's a lot to like here. So I do like Brazzell. I'm intrigued to see him going forward. I think he's got some stuff to offer that maybe Thornton didn't. So don't shy away too quickly on him is all I'm saying.
Oh, I won't, dude. I'm in it. I'm already in it.
All right. Well, I know you got to get out of here, so I'm gonna cruise through Mr. Chase Roberts here, wide receiver out of Brigham Young University, 6'4", 210, PFF big board 182. He had 54 catches and 802 yards and six touchdowns. It's actually back-to-back 800-yard seasons for him, and I can see why. He's got a big frame, good catch radius. He has really good concentration against again the game against Iowa State. He almost got his head taken off catching one of the passes. It was like a hands catch where he just strong handed it out of the air, and then the dude just clotheslined him, and he still was able to hang on to the ball. That was fun to watch. He makes good adjustments to the ball. The quarterback, who, by the way, BYU, grow up. Your quarterback can't be number 47. Get the fuck out of here with that. Like,
He's
that's
a fullback,
the
dude.
most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. But
Ugh.
anyway, he would kind of loft him up some balls sometimes, and Chase Roberts was able to kind of get under it and snag it down. I think he comes back for the quarterback fairly well. He finds the gaps in coverage pretty good. In terms of what I think he can do at the next level, I'm a little more skeptical. Lots of goes and crossers on his tape. That's like, get ready for that. Once you start watching him, it's like every play, oh, this dude's
See
got
ya.
stamina. He's running 60 yards and not getting the ball a lot. But he did a lot of that. Not a lot of diversity in his routes, at least not that I've seen yet. And again, you never know. That could just be a scheme thing. But
Yeah.
in terms of what I saw and watching the games I watched, not a lot there. To me, he's a solid, consistent player that like has really big question marks for his ceiling at the next level. His top end speed is okay, especially for that size 6'4". I would see him in the 4.5 range would be my guess. but I just think the acceleration is a little lacking. Like it takes him a second to get to that top speed. So he also had 8 drops this past season, which was a 13% drop rate. Better in previous years, but still 8 drops is never something you want to see. Decent contested catch rate though, 55%, 28 of 51 for his career. But I mean, ultimately, just watching him, all I could really think was like he'll be a solid role playing wide receiver at the next level, probably a fourth, fifth round pick. And I'm skeptical that he'll ever be like more than that. Though he was compared to Alec Pierce. Uh,
Oh,
I liked Alec Pierce more on tape, very by a lot. I was a big Alec Pierce guy, as you remember well, and he ended up
oh
being a
yeah.
second round pick. So I don't think Chase Roberts goes that high. And I would be skeptical of the team that took him that high, to be honest. But I do think he could be a solid wide receiver 3 or 4 at the NFL level.
Yeah, Alec Pierce was out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit better. That was a good team he was
Yeah,
coming off
that was
of.
the Desmond Ritter squad.
Yeah, that's I think Jerome Ford was on there or something too.
I think so, yeah,
That was a
maybe.
good one.
There was a good tight
Um,
end there too. Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. All right, forget about it. No, I see what you mean with the all goes. He does have like the look at me, like it's like trying to be available for his
Yeah.
quarterback. So yeah, there's something to it. But like you're saying, a little iffy. What's the PFF number on this bad boy?
180, 182.
Yeah, that fits. That
Yeah.
tracks. So he's not really in the department of the other guys we've been talking about. But hey, he's got some grit to him and
Yeah.
back-to-back 800-yard seasons. So
Yeah.
he's
Nothing to
out
sniff
there
at.
doing stuff. He's gonna probably get someone. Detroit likes to
Yeah.
do weird stuff with random
Isaac
wide
Teslas
receivers.
of the
So
world.
maybe we're primed for something like that. But it's almost the state of the NFL where if you don't take a risk, you're not trying. So
True.
maybe he's one of those guys.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I know you got to get out of here. So,
Yeah.
on that note, everyone, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week with some more profiles. But until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
Go get him, Tiger.
I took a lease out